Hey everyone, Slave to the Games here with another update on Bloodlines 2. This time I will be explaining how Bloodlines 2 will have trigger warnings. You heard me right, and yes, I know you probably heard this before, but if you didn't, stay tuned because I'm going to go over my opinion about it and explain more about what entirely this means. Apparently, the developers are worried that people will be triggered by the game, as well as gamers themselves are also apparently concerned about their own post-traumatic stress disorder or PTSD, as well as their own sensibilities. In fact, the developers say that they are 100% sure that some moments are going to trigger people. So where are these worries exactly? Well, in the dialogue, themes, and gameplay, of course, essentially the entire game. The response to this is something I am, to be honest, a little surprised about, while at the same time not surprised at all, really. And the answer to this is the ability to skip entire missions. No, you didn't mishear me. To top it off, there will also be, and I quote, plenty of trigger warnings so that nobody gets triggered or offended. They have already discussed and may be trying to implement an accessibility menu where they would outline the thematic content of each mission so that you can prepare yourself before taking on each mission. They say you can choose not to play a mission or grab a friend or person you are comfortable with to play through certain content with you. Essentially, they want to also give players a rundown in that menu of what to expect from the Malkavian playthroughs so that you can make a choice on whether or not you are comfortable with playing it as well due to the nature of Malkavians. Now, this doesn't mean it won't be on any other playthrough. There will definitely be moments in the other playthroughs as well. It's just this one specific playthrough, of course, the Malkavians, for obvious reasons that they are more worried about than the others. To be honest, I'm personally torn. On one hand, I see this as a win for those who seriously suffer from any type of PTSD or mental illness, because people who suffer from this, of course, would still like to play the game or games that do this, even if it may be hard for them. And I definitely believe that just because they suffer from PTSD or a mental illness, this doesn't mean people should not get to experience the games they really want to play. But I do understand, on the other hand, that people may be worried that this may cause games to turn away from these events entirely, or we may see a decrease in mature themed games in the future. We certainly have games that do have mature elements, but this could very well be the start of the inevitable end of these types of games after slowly being forced out. But is that the truth? Are mature games going to disappear? Well, I doubt it. Worst case scenario is that more and more games will get trigger warnings, the ability to skip missions entirely, and possibly even more I have yet to see. We already have things like in Conan and Rust where you can either blur nudity or cover it up. We have options to censor swearing, blood, and gore in other games as well. So at the end of the day, what does this change for us gamers? Well, people's fears aside, I believe nothing will change, except for those who opt into censoring the blood, gore, swearing, entire missions, and whatever else there is to limit the mature or triggering aspect of games. This is because while some of these options seem kinda pointless and don't seem like they'll do much, I can't imagine skipping out on an entire mission or missions, as this can, in my opinion, lead to a disconnect. I can't help but feel you wouldn't get the full story, at the very least, be able to have the emotional attachment that those who experience the entire story unfiltered would have. Of course, I could be entirely wrong here with my opinion at this last part, and I certainly think the fears I have heard others voice or get angry about are definitely not going to be an issue in the slightest to those who will play through the game unfiltered. Unless, because of this, as I mentioned earlier, we do in fact start seeing less and less mature themed games, and even worse, game developers stop making anything that could be considered dark, twisted, maddening, or more because of fear of upsetting the mass, or even the minority. I would never want to tell others they don't have a right to play a game, especially for a mental illness or because of PTSD. However, I do think these games have these ratings for a reason. People under the age of a game shouldn't be playing it. People over the age should be responsible enough to decide if they want to or not. Having the ability to limit something to protect yourself is fine. Some people need that. My message to game developers though is to not limit the people who choose these games for these themes, to experience these dark, twisted, messed up moments unfiltered. Giving the ability to filter out content is fine. Filtering out and separating your player base due to other people is not. It would also be scary if stories, gameplay, and more were completely remade to cut out triggering themes entirely without giving people a choice in the future. And I think this is what has most people worried. You would just be pushing out another group in favor of one, which just wouldn't be fair and would essentially just be swapping one group of people who feel alienated for another. So what do you guys think? Feel free to share your opinion down below in the comments. Please be constructive with it and respectful. And then also, if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and optionally think about joining my Patreon, my Discord, or my merch store to help further support me and what I do. I very much appreciate it, but I did say it's optional and you don't have to, and I'll still care for you nonetheless. I hope to see more of you guys stopping by and enjoying these videos, as well as future ones. Catch you guys in my next video release.